This is a model for a very simple savings account where there's some amount of money in the account, the principal, and based upon that principal and the interest rate, periodically it calculates interest, which is then added to the principal. Now, the typical operation or way that this simulates is it produces exponential growth in that the amount of money in the account grows over time based upon the interest being added to the principal. You notice that it appears very slow for a period of time, but then when it begins to grow, it's the typical exponential growth curve. Now, somebody asked me the other day, how would I draw this diagram if there was in fact a negative interest? And after thinking about it a bit, I realized that the diagram is the same. So what I did was I took the principal and said that it could actually be negative, and I allowed the interest rate to vary from a positive to a negative value, and I allowed the interest to flow in both directions, so it could flow in or flow out. So that when I do this, if I pin this simulation result to the model itself and then vary the interest rate, you can see as the interest rate declines, the resultant principal over time gets smaller and smaller until at a zero interest rate, the principal doesn't grow at all. And if the interest rate is negative, the principal simply does an exponential decline over time. And the rate at which it declines depends upon how negative the interest rate is. So that now if you actually went ahead and varied the interest rate over time, so at times it was positive and times it was negative, this would migrate back and forth depending upon how you define that interest rate. And in the context of Insight Maker, instead of using a variable for interest rate, which is simply pegged to a slider, you'd go ahead and use a converter and then go ahead and tell it that you wanted to define the way that interest rate changed over time so that it could increase or decrease depending upon what you thought the interest was going to be, so that you could actually build a model so that for some periods of time the interest was positive and sometimes it was negative. So hope this is informative, and I'll see you in another model in the near future. Bye.